Hey guys, Dish here, back with some more Mega Man X. Gonna hop straight into Boomer Kuwanger stage. There's only 2 stages left before we hop into the Sigma stages. And Boomer Kuwanger stage has only a heart tank. It's just like Launch Octopus where it only has one secret. So we'll just be rushing through this level pretty quickly. It's a pretty straightforward level. It has a lot to do with vertical elements. It's So these robots here, they have these lasers attached to them, these little laser gates. If you go into them when the laser's up, the robots will shoot you. You don't really have to worry about these things too much, because even if you trigger the laser like that, you can actually just dash out of the way of them. You see them later in one of the Sigma stages, and I think that's more or less what those are there for, just to sort of introduce you to them. This game does a lot of that, showing you, well, even the old Mega Mans did it too. It shows you a lot of enemies, or it'll always put you in a situation where you can handle a new type of enemy before it like gives you the challenging version of them, so you can sort of like learn how they function. Like, it'll never put you in a Hammer Joe's like attack range the very first time you ever encounter one, which is a very awesome game design mechanic that they've implemented into these games. So upcoming is the vertical, like the main vertical segment of this level. It involves these ladders, and there's usually spiders on about every ladder as well as turrets. You can counter this entire section as long as you use the charged version of Armored Armadillo's weapon, which will put this shield on you. It destroys anything you come into contact with as long as that enemy only took like it has like only a little bit of health. And it also absorbs the turret shots, so you can just run up this entire section without having to worry about it. Normally this part is actually pretty annoying. So there's the heart tank up there. Normally, well, not normally, but the way that a lot of people do it is to just use Boomer Kuwanger's weapon to grab it. But you can actually just use the charged shotgun ice like this to make a platform, dash, jump to the right, and then like at the edge of the platform, pull back to the left, and you should be able to wall jump off of it. I love how these little turrets look on their little floating platforms, because they spin around a bunch. It looks like they're like really enjoying some kind of ride. Like, look at him, he's like, whoa, I'm gonna fire off my shots. And even the little red ones on the walls are like jealous of the. I'm putting a lot of thought into these little turrets, and they're really just put there to annoy me. So Boomer Kuwanger is pretty straightforward. He's kind of a pain in the ass if you don't have his weakness, which is Launch Octopus's homing torpedoes. But with it, it's pretty simple. Just because they're homing, the best thing you should be focusing on is actually dodging his attacks. And you can do that really easily by just sort of clinging the walls. I start the fight sort of by using the charge version of this, and it doesn't do that much more damage, and it actually takes more ammo, I think. So it's not really worth it to do, but I just typically use the charged version of every ability before I go into it. So just do how I'm doing it here. Basically just chill on the walls. He'll kind of get stuck in his little teleporting, and as long as you time your rockets properly, they should hit him immediately as he comes out of it, making the fight very, very simple. So Boomer Kuwanger gives us the boomerang cutter, which it's okay. It's not very good for killing anything, but what its perk is that it lets you grab things that are far away, sort of. Like if an item gets caught in its trajectory on its return or to it or whatever, it'll actually take the item and give it back to you. And I'll demonstrate that because we're going to go into Spark Mandrill's stage, which has the sub-tank, the final sub-tank that we couldn't get before because we need Boomerang Kuwanger's weapon. So it's just in this very intro part. You want to go up the first ladder, which you have to, and then down the second ladder. instead of going up. And then all the way to the right over here, you'll see it right there. And you switch to boomerang cutter, jump, and then when you start to come back down, you fire the boomerang cutter and it'll come back down to you. So we're going to go through this stage. Normally you'd just be able to exit out of here, but because I missed the heart tank the first time through, I'm just going to show you where the heart tank is. So I mentioned it briefly before when we were last at Spark Mandrill's stage, but I want to expand on it a little bit. But Spark Mandrill's music for his level is so good. I mean, all the music in this game, in my opinion, are some of the best video game. It's one of the best video game soundtracks of all time. And it's just, this stage stands out to me as just one of the best. I listen to, if you guys don't know what OC Remix is, I'll post a link to their YouTube page as well as their website. But they do remixes of old video game music. And they actually did an entire, like, 64-song album or something for the Mega Man X series. And I highly, highly recommend you guys check it out. So on the return of this mini-boss, which normally you shouldn't ever have to return to him, you can use Storm Tornado's charged attack and kill him so quickly because it hits multiple times vertically. So just charge it up, and you see it killed him in basically 3. I hit him with a few normal Storm Tornadoes, and I think in a few extra shots as well. But yeah, you just use that, and you should be able to drop him really, really quickly. Storm Tornado is by far the best for taking out any kind of mini-boss or any kind of like high-health target that needs to be hit multiple times. Fire Wave is a bit better, but it's harder to hit because it has such a short range. So right up here, the reason I missed it is because I didn't jump like that to see it. And you can get up here. It's a bit of a tough jump to get up here without using Boomerang Cutter, but you can use Boomerang Cutter if you have trouble making the jump. And I actually have more trouble getting the Boomerang Cutter to go up instead of down when I'm on the wall, because you have to jump and fire it before you hit the peak of your jump, or else it'll come down with you. So now we're going to take on Sting Chameleon. His stage actually changes from killing Launch Octopus. I always do him last, so it doesn't particularly, like, that's a minor fact. But it is sort of interesting because defeating Launch Octopus actually floods his stage. And you need to have his stage flooded to gain access to the heart tank on this level. And, oh, this stage only has one secret as well. I guess there are 3 stages. Because we haven't gone back and got the chest armor, which is from... Oh no, sorry, my bad. Chest armor is on this level. I always think it's on Armored Armadillo's level because of you fight the mini-boss in a little rocky arena, and whenever I think of rocks, I think of Armored Armadillo's stage. But just hop right down here, and you won't be able to get here because the water won't be here if you haven't killed Launch Octopus, if for whatever reason you're here before defeating him. But you want to take out the bricks. You don't have to, but it makes the dash jump easier if you take out the bricks at the bottom, and then you gotta dash jump all the way to the right, and the buoyancy of the water will cause you to make the jump. And then right after that, you want to go straight up here, and you'll fight this little mini-boss. I don't know if he takes more damage from anything. I've tried a bunch of stuff. Storm Tornado seems like it does a lot of damage, like it makes a lot of hit confirm noises. But I feel like almost using just the X-Buster is better. And also, the Storm Tornado has a bad perk where if you miss with the Storm Tornado, it makes this pinging, oh god, the horrendous pinging noise. I'll lower it a bit in post, but it is an awful, awful noise if you don't hit him dead on with the Storm Tornado and it hits like his hands or something, because he has to be hit in the head. So I try a bunch of different abilities here, but I think ultimately the X-Buster is probably the best way to go. I haven't looked up if he takes more damage from anything, but X-Buster seems to be the optimal way for me every time. You can hit him with charge shots, but I prefer just to hit him with the lemons. Does it look to anyone else like he has a smiley face on his stomach? because that's exactly what it looks like to me. Like, if you look at his head, he looks really serious, but if you look down to his stomach, he looks really goofy. So defeating this mini-boss will grant us access to the final secret of this game, other than one more, which I'll show you later. But it gets us the final armor upgrade, which is the chest, which will reduce all damage taken by 50%. This honestly is probably the most important armor upgrade. You could argue that the X-Buster one is more important, and by the way, I'm ignoring dash because it's not optional. You get the dash no matter what. But the X-Buster, you could argue, is a bit better. But the thing is you get that by story, so like getting it early doesn't really give you anything. I mean, it gives you a few minor perks, but 50% reduced damage from all sources is just so good. And you need it for Sigma stages pretty badly, because some of those mini bosses will do just a massive amount of damage. Like, a lot of them can kill you in like 5 or 6 shots if you don't have the armor. So I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think there's only 2 spots in this game where you actually get to use the mech armor. It's this and the very first stage, which I guess for me is Chill Penguin. And like, I know they expanded more on it in the later X series, but I really wish it was more in this game, because they are really, really fun to use. And even in this stage, you don't really use it very much. And, oh, just beautiful game design choices, by the way, that how the drivers of the enemy mech suits, if you're not in a mech suit yourself, they're standing outside of their robots to give you a chance, and then you can actually steal their mechs. That's just such good game design. It's beautiful. Okay, so Sting Chameleon's pretty easy if you get this pattern down that I'm going to show you. He's weak to Boomerang Cutter, obviously. He's pretty hard if you don't use Boomerang Cutter, but if you stand here in the center, and try not to get hit by him like I do, but if you stand here in the center and fire a boomerang, like right about as he touches the ground, like to the opposite way that he was standing before, it'll hit him like as soon as as soon as his invincibility frames wear off, it'll hit him. It's very, very, very helpful. So there's one more little episode that I'm going to show you before we take on the Sigma stages. If you guys don't know what it is, I'm gonna keep it a secret until next time. But stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time.